The 9th annual Spread a Little Love This Christmas, put on through the Lloydminster and District Co-op and the Olive Tree, officially launched for the Christmas season. Approximately 800 senior citizens throughout Lloydminster received gifts through the program last year. This year is looking to crush that goal, already having over 900 gifts secured this year.
There's a gap recognized about our seniors not getting maybe the recognition or being noticed maybe around the holiday season, and you know, as the co-op being the catalyst around community, can we launch something and kick in and really help fill that gap?
The Lloydminster and District Co-op is partnering with the Olive Tree for its 4th year. And with more help on their side, they're able to ensure more seniors receive their gifts.
So how it kind of works is for our clients, we go into the low-income seniors housing. They have a form that they fill out, and they can write kind of their Christmas wish list on it. So whether it be a blanket or some chocolate or socks or anything like that, they can fill it out, and then we go back in and collect it all, and then we give it to the co-op, and they can make all the ornaments and get it ready for the community to pick up.
The campaign runs from November 1st to the 21st, and if you'd like to participate, you can pick up your own senior card at any select Lloyd Co-op locations. Students at Lloyd Comp are going to be participating in a national math competition. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we look at how these students are preparing for the difficult exam. The Canadian Math Open Challenge is a voluntary math competition that is available to anyone eager enough. These students participating were lucky to have their registration fees paid for in full by Willie's R&R Trailer Sales.
And each year they offer students to participate in a math competition. It's a 2.5-hour exam, all math problems, and the results are tallied, and we get the results somewhere around February. And depending on how students do, they can be invited to math camps, they can win prizes, and it's just a really great thing for them to put on their resume.
The exam is no joke, not allowing the use of a calculator throughout the exam. This challenges them to get more insight into fields they may pursue as a career.
I'm pretty excited. Like, I tried some of the previous year papers and their level is quite good. So I'm trying to do my best. Yeah, it's also my passion, and I also want to make it my career. Like, I want to do engineering and computer science.
Some other students, however, have an advantage going in, with some of them competing in the competition last year.
Yeah, I guess it's much easier this year, because last year it seemed a little bit difficult, but now that I know how the layout of the exam works and I have completed it, it makes it easier. I'm preparing by looking at the past exams and the solutions and working off of those questions and problems.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world, because the real world doesn't wait, and neither do we.
It is hump day today, Wednesday. Yep. We've had some pretty good weather this week, I gotta say.
Yes, we haven't really seen a ton of snow, and it's been a little chilly, but hasn't been like bone chilling.
My body's
cold.
Getting more adjusted to these colder temperatures, I feel.
It's almost like it's giving us like a slow warm up into, you know, when it really starts to get
winter,
cold. But yesterday was really good for all those kids going out trick-or-treating, and of course the parents that have to accompany them. It wasn't super cold. It was a very nice evening for that, and we saw a pretty nice day out today. I was outside earlier this morning, and it wasn't too bad when being outside, so that's always nice. Very overcast, however, but that didn't hinder much because the wind chill, it feels closer to 0, but it is +1 right now, and the wind pretty much non-existent at 6 kilometers per hour, so that's always very nice to enjoy, considering the last little while we've had a lot of very strong winds throughout the day. But that is a nice temperature to stay at now. And then more temperatures across the region too, out in Cold Lake, Bonnyville, Lac La Biche, Vermilion, Marwayne, and Provost. 3 degrees. Vermilion is now changed to 3 degrees, as well as out in Wainwright. 5 in Vegreville, 0 in St. Paul, and 6 out in Edmonton. And then on the Saskatchewan side, -1 in Isla Crosse, Green Lake, and in Meadow Lake, +1 in Pierceland and in Maidstone, 0 in St. Walburg and North Battleford, and 2 out in Macklin. And then overnight tonight in North Battleford will drop down to -5. Cloudy this evening, but then they'll start to dissipate throughout the evening. And there's about a 25% chance that there could be some snowfall, but there's not a big worry on that. And then tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud. It seems to be like there will be quite a bit of sunshine tomorrow, and then a high of +3. So it's going to be a fairly nice day out tomorrow in North Battleford. And then overnight tonight in Cold Lake, expect cloudy conditions overnight, but just at -5. So it won't be too cold out in Cold Lake. And then tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies. However, the high will be +3, 3 out, and then there will be some periods of sun throughout the day. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, cloudy conditions as well, which is what we saw throughout today, and then a low of -4, so not too terrible for this evening. And then tomorrow, a little breakdown of the day. In the morning, mostly cloudy skies with -4 as the temperature. And then when recess rolls around, the sun will be peaking a little bit throughout the clouds, and it will be around -3. And then we're above 0 around lunchtime, but cloudy conditions with +1, and then +3 by the time school is out, and those clouds will remain. And then over the next 3 days, we have a low of -4 for tomorrow, so that'll be our evening temperature. And then on Friday, expect a pretty sunny day. However, it will be quite chilly with 0 as the daytime high and a low of -4. And then on Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of +3 and a low of -5. That's your first look at your evening weather forecast. I'll have more overnight temperatures later on in the show.
Thank you, Abby. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at today's business headlines. The second edition of Celebrating Oil Country took place today all throughout the town of Vermilion. And some very high-profile Oilers celebrities were in town to speak and visit, as well as hit the ice. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
The day began with an opening ceremony at the Old School Cheesery, where Mayor Greg Thronson was presented with his own Oilers jersey as well as one for the town. And he was very thankful to the Oilers Entertainment Group for selecting Vermilion.
It's an exciting day to be part of. When you can put Vermilion and Edmonton Oilers in the same sentence, it's a lifetime dream, and it's not going to happen every year. We're very proud to be part of that. I'm very proud to be part of this to help Vermilion be recognized as a very humble, strong community that we're very proud to be part of.
The Oilers Entertainment Group was very happy to come to Vermilion as its second town for Celebrating Oil Country.
But really for us, it's really just to say thanks to the community. The Oilers would not be in Edmonton today if it wasn't for the long-term passion that communities like Vermilion show for the Oilers. We're way more than just the city of Edmonton. It's about all of oil country, and you really see it when you get in. When we rolled into town this morning to see all the businesses, the window storefronts decorated, see the passion of the people we've met already, we know it's going to be a great day here.
Alongside the Oilers Entertainment Group was play-by-play announcer Jack Michaels, the Orange and Blue crew, Hunter, and 2 Oilers alumni defensemen, in Kevin Lowe and Ladislav Smeed, who will be helping with the minor hockey free skate.
I think it's huge. I think it's a great thing that Oilers are doing. Recognizing all these small towns that make the oil country whole. I'm very excited. I brought my skates, my stick, my gloves. So I'm very excited to participate, and then later on we are going to the hockey game.
Today's festivities will complete with a Junior B matchup between the hometown Vermilion Tigers and the Vegreville Rangers. Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
Now we've got more weather with our Abby St. John.
Thanks so much, Callan. We are currently sitting at 1 degrees. Feels closer to 0 with that wind chill, so not too bad. Not too off from that 1 degree. The wind is quite slow as well at 6 kilometers per hour. Today was a very nice day despite being overcast for the majority of the day. I was outside for a bit earlier this morning and it wasn't too bad despite that high cloud coverage. And then more temperatures across the region in Alberta. 2 degrees out in Cold Lake and Red Deer, 4 in Athabasca, 6 in Whitecourt and Edmonton, 8 out in Edson, 6 also out in Jasper, and 7 in Rocky Mountain House. And on the Saskatchewan side, -1 in Meadow Lake, 0 in Prince Albert, North Battleford and Saskatoon, and -3 out in Melfort. And then if we go more up north in Saskatchewan, -4 in Uranium City, -6 in Stony Rapids, -5 in Wollaston Lake, -1 in South End, -2 in Flin Flon, and 0 out in Buffalo Narrows and La Loche. And then on the Alberta side, -2 in Fort Chipewyan, 1 out in Fort Mac, 0 in High Level, Peace River sitting at 4 degrees, and 6 out in Grand Prairie and in Slave Lake. And down south in Alberta, 5 in Medicine Hat, 3 in Coronation and Lethbridge, 6 in Calgary, and 4 out in Banff. And on the Saskatchewan side, -1 in Estevan, Moose Jaw, Regina, Yorkton, and Kindersley, and +1 out in Swift Current. And then overnight tonight in North Battleford will drop down to -5. Quite cloudy in the earlier evening, and then partially cloudy as you get later on in the night. So the clouds will kind of break up as we get further on into the evening. Cold Lake is expected to be quite cloudy and overcast overnight tonight and dropping down to -5. And then more overnight temperatures across the region, -6 in Meadow Lake, Bonnyville, and in Paradise Hill, and -5 in Provost and Isle Cross, all expecting to be quite cloudy. A little bit more cloudier in places like Bonnyville, but for the most part, it will be quite cloudy. And then in Mirnam, it will be -4 overnight, -6 in Pierceland and Unity, -5 in Wainwright, and -2 out in Calgary. And again, mostly cloudy conditions throughout the region overnight tonight. And then overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, following that same trend, we are expecting some more overcast overnight tonight. So expected to be quite cloudy, and will drop down to -4. And that wind will pick up just a little bit to 13 kilometers per hour. So it will be quite chilly overnight tonight here in the border city. And then over the next 7 days, a high of +3 and a low of -4. For tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds. So hopefully we get to see a little bit more sun than we saw today. On Friday, it's expected to be quite sunny throughout the day, with a high of 0 and a low of -4. Mix of sun and cloud on Saturday, with a high of +3 and a low of -5. And then we go back below 0 on Sunday with a high of -2 and a low of -5. And there's about a 60% chance of some snow in the morning. And then on Monday, the clouds will roll back in with a high of -1 and a low of -6. And that's the same for Tuesday and Wednesday, high of -1 on Tuesday. And then we get above 0 on Wednesday with a high of +1 as well, with a low of -5 for both days. So the temperatures are kind of fluctuating between above 0 and below 0. But for the most part, it will remain quite chilly, and hopefully we'll get more sun in the coming days. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
We are here with Michael Landsberg, who is a veteran broadcaster and also known for Off the Record. And he's also known for being a mental health advocate in the sports world. And we're also here with Tyler from Residents in Recovery. Welcome to Michael and to Tyler today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Well, today we are talking about the Addictions Don't Discriminate event. Michael, we are going to start with you here. So, this event here, you are going to be the keynote speaker at. So, tell us a bit more about your Addictions Don't Discriminate speech you are going to give to us that night on November 10th.
I put addictions in the same category as the mental health challenges that I've had. I think they all are grouped together. One leads to another. I don't know if it's egg or chicken and egg, but what I really do, because I'm not a doctor, I don't have, I can't treat people. I try to stay away from making suggestions about treatment. But what I can do is try, based on my own experience, a lifetime of anxiety and depression for the last 20 years, sometimes severe enough that I have this tattoo on my arm to memorialize it. But I'm not going to tell you now because I'll let the drama build until I show up to speak, and then I'll tell you what it's for. But I just believe that talking about it normalizes it, whether it's addiction or whether it's depression. We need to talk about it. We need to make it part of the discussion. We need people to feel like it's possible to say in a group of people, I have a problem. I have an addiction, or I have a mental health battle, whatever it is. Talking to me is the most important thing, certainly that I can bring to the table. And in a lot of ways, talking is the only way to disarm the stigma.
For sure. So, for this event on November 10th at the Vic Juba Community Theater, when you give the speech, when you speak with us, what is the main takeaway you would like for people to get?
I would like for people to walk away feeling like they're understood. I remember I was giving a talk in Edmonton. I think this is probably 4 years ago, before the pandemic. And a woman came up to me afterwards and she was very emotional. And I said to her, I said, hey, I'm going to be standing here waiting, whenever you want to talk, when you feel like you can talk, because she couldn't get the words out of her mouth, I'm here. So she came back and she sort of fought through it. And I said, so why are you so emotional? And I don't think it's sadness. What is it? And just the way she fought to get the words out, made such an impact on me. And she said, for the first time through this battle, I feel understood. And I thought, oh my gosh, that in so many ways is the most powerful thing you can do for someone, whether it's a person with addiction talking about addiction, whether it's a person with depression talking about depression, talking not about the name of the illness or the fact that they have the illness, but what does it feel like? What does it do to them? And that's what resonated with her, the fact that somebody has experienced exactly the same thing that she has experienced. Because whether it's addiction or mental illness, we all have different lives and it manifests itself in different ways, but there are some things that we all experience, that we all have in common. And if you can make somebody feel like they're understood, I think you take a huge leap to making them feel better about themselves and their illness.
Now, we are going to speak with Tyler from Residents in Recovery. Now, Tyler, what does it mean to you and Residents in Recovery to bring Michael into the Vic Juba?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a great experience. We did Opiates Don't Discriminate a few years back, and it was during COVID, so it was a really difficult time to attract people out into the public and to go through an exhibit like that. So it's going to be cool to do this in a non-COVID time, and attract people out to really begin to understand, a little bit about addictions and mental health, because there's so much stigma in our community, and in society at large. I mean, this isn't just a Lloydminster issue for sure. So, I mean, it really is important that people get out and really start to understand that addiction and mental health issues can happen to everybody. I mean, there's nobody immune. It doesn't matter what your upbringing's like, your social class, how much money you have, what your job is. There's absolutely nobody immune to these mental health issues, and it's important for people to understand that, because it brings on a certain level of empathy once you understand that this isn't a specific socioeconomic issue, right? Then I can start to understand that, oh, maybe my neighbor, maybe that's what he's going through, right? Or maybe I can really help that family member that's, the black sheep of the family that nobody talks to, because, he's always depressed or he's drinking too much or whatever the issue is. So, having Michael come and share his experience, is going to be an incredible night for all of us, to really hear somebody talk so candidly and open about their struggles.
I think it is going to be an absolutely amazing event for everybody that does show up. Now, Tyler, there's also going to be an exhibit that is going to be interactive to help people understand addictions and mental health a little bit better at Lakeland College. Tell us a bit about that.
Sure. So the exhibit's going to be running from Tuesday to Saturday. It's an exhibit that's going to, it's an interactive exhibit that people are going to be able to really see, follow the stories of some various individuals, real life individuals, and they're going to be able to go through it and follow those stories and really see, how addiction has affected them.
For sure. So, Tyler, where can everybody get more information about the interactive exhibit at the Black Box Theater at Lakeland College and more about the keynote speaker, Michael Landsberg, at the Vic Juba on November 10th?
Yeah, so the exhibit is free. It's open daily at 2 p.m. So just come into Lakeland College and follow the signs to the exhibit. It'll be from 2 to 6 every day, and then the keynote address will be at Lakeland College at Vic Juba Theater as well at 7 p.m. Tickets available through the Vic Juba box office or vicjubatheater.ca.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us for another edition of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator here in Lloydminster at Hankin Divorce Law and Mediation, and a very familiar face to our viewers. Stephanie, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks again for having me, Stacey.
All right, so a new month, Stephanie, a new theme, and we're going to be talking about division of property. Obviously can become very contentious when it comes to separation and divorce. So let's talk about how the division of assets and debt works when you have a family that's going through separation.
Yeah, so Stacey, let's start with the basics here. So in Alberta and Saskatchewan, of course, those are the provinces that we're working with for our viewers here. Subject to certain exemptions, family property is property that's owned by either spouse, so husband or wife, or by the spouses jointly at the conclusion of their relationship. So typically, and again, I know this is has to be a very general interview because everyone's situation is different, but typically family property will be divided 50-50 between the spouses. So we usually take this as a very mathematical, calculation driven spreadsheet type of approach. So what we do is we do this in 5 steps. So first on the spreadsheet, we list all of the assets and debts and then any of those exemptions. Then we give a value to each of the items. Then we say, we have a column for husband and a column for wife and say which spouse is intending to keep that asset or debt, so the value of that. And then at the very bottom, there's a total for the calculation for each spouse. And then we figure out how much parity or disparity is there between the two spouses, and that's what creates a settlement payment. So of course, very general.
All right, Stephanie, and what type of assets and debts would be considered family property?
Well, of course, it's impossible to come up with a complete list, but we'll just go through some of the basic headings or categories that we usually look at. So first, on the asset categories, we've got any kind of real estate, so houses, cabins, corporate interests, bank accounts, retirement accounts, or other kind of investment accounts, TFSAs, other types of investment accounts, vehicle or other motorized equipment. So, you've got farming equipment, you might have recreational vehicles, Household contents. So I usually lump household contents together, and actually in one of our future sessions here this month, we're going to talk more specifically about household contents. And then even things like collectibles, works of art, and other valuable property, or even life insurance policies if there's a cash value. So under the debts, we've got mortgages, other loans, lines of credit, credit cards, even debts that are owing to any other debt collectors, even Canada Revenue Agency.
Okay, and what about Alberta versus Saskatchewan? Because that's something we always have to consider here in Lloydminster.
Well, it's definitely different. So, property division in Canada is regulated by the provinces. So, although generally speaking, Alberta and Saskatchewan both has a 50-50 division of family property, what is divided and what is exempt, the regime works a little bit differently in each of the provinces.
Okay, and what about things that might not be included when you're dividing up the property, Stephanie?
So I referred to it very briefly a moment ago, but these are called exemptions. So these are things that are not divided between spouses when you're separating. So in other words, one spouse gets to keep this exempt asset for themselves and they don't have to share it. So each of Alberta and Saskatchewan have different items that are included in this exempt status. But basically, if something is exempt, you have to take that particular asset and trace it back to when that exemption began. Trace it back from there up until today's date. So it gets a little complicated.
Yeah. And if couples are living together or if they're married, does that matter when they're going through this process?
Well, of course it matters. There's always some catch-22 here. So before January 1st of 2020, in fact, it used to be actually really quite different between Alberta and Saskatchewan, the married versus unmarried cohabitating spouses scenario. But now the legislation is such that spouses who have lived together for a certain period of time in each of the provinces, and of course it's different in each province, or if they're married, are able to divide up their property as though they're married.
All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you again for the information. And if there is somebody who is looking for information not only on the division of property, but on many of the other things we've discussed, I know you have a place where everything is basically in one space where they can go through. So how can people find that if they're looking for information?
Exactly. Thanks, Stacy. So the best bet is the first step is to go to our website, Henka Divorce, HENKA divorce.ca. And on our site, there's really some guided pathways to help you to figure out whether we might be a right fit for you. Or of course, you can just easy peasy, just call our office, 780-875-2234.
All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacy.
We've got one last story before we're all wrapped up. Celine Dion surprised fans in Las Vegas with an appearance at the Habs Knights game. She has scaled back her public appearances since sharing earlier this year she's been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, a rare neurological condition that causes painful muscle spasms. It's unclear who she was rooting for, Montreal or for Las Vegas, where she currently lives. Dion met with some players, team members, and even posed for some photos with fans.
I love it. I think Celine Dion is a massive, massive icon. And, she held her Vegas residency for so long. She is a staple to not only Canada, but I think to Las Vegas itself. So it's nice that she made an appearance for the Montreal
And I had no idea
game.
everything that she was going through. I know they'd said that it was announced earlier this year, but I had no idea. So it's very good to see her out and about. And but that is all the time that we have for you on Primetime Local News. Thank you so much for watching and have a great night.